Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Tonight I'm going to be recapping This Is Us Season 5 Episode 10. So this episode is definitely setting up a lot of the kind of unresolved issues that we see in those flash forwards that have been happening since season 2, and I really enjoyed this episode. So before we get started with the recap, do me a favor and hit the like button so that you can keep up with all of my This Is Us recaps. And let's go ahead and talk about tonight's episode. If you are like me, you probably tweet while you're watching the show, and it's always interesting to see how fans from across the globe interpret the things that they're seeing on This Is Us. I apologize to all of you West Coasters who have not seen tonight's episode yet. Come back later after you've watched. But let's get into tonight's episode. It was all about the dinner table. So it intros with us seeing little glimpses of all of the different families, kind of giving the babies their first bath and getting into like the day-to-day progress of like taking care of new babies. So we get to see Kevin giving the twins their bath. We get to see Jack and Rebecca trying to handle the triplets, and we get to see Kate and Toby taking care of the new baby. And juggling parenthood, and it's really all centered around that. And it's very different glimpses of parenthood, especially as we get to Kevin and Madison, because with him being a big movie star, he can afford to have a nanny come in and for them to have help. And so even though it certainly is not easy for them to be taking care of these two newborn babies, certainly they have an advantage over the other families that we see in tonight's episode. We don't really get a lot of Jack and Rebecca in this episode in terms of the flashbacks. It's mostly dealing with Jack as he's trying to climb up the ladder at his job. And part of that involves going out to dinner with a couple of the guys, and Miguel is there as well. And him trying to impress these guys so that he can stay in the mix with them, so that he can be up for promotion, so that they won't be looking down on him at the job. And of course, with them having 3 babies, that means that money and the purse strings are certainly tight, and it ends up involving something that we see connected into later. This episode, it was really trying to tackle a lot of different things. Taking care of kids, family, money, which all of those things are highly, highly tangled up. So I definitely get it. In the present, Kevin decides that he wants to invite Kate and Toby over for dinner and get the 3 kids together for the first time. And they're going to let the nanny take care of the kids while they all enjoy a grown-up dinner. Madison's really excited because she gets to pump and have a little bit of wine, which she probably has not had a chance to do. So I was like, kudos for Madison. I'm starting to warm up to Madison a little bit more. I liked Madison when she was just Kate's friend. The chemistry between her and Kevin is still not 100% there for me yet. But we'll see, because we still haven't seen her in the future scenes, the flash forwards. And we find out in the car ride home from getting Jack to his music lessons that Toby is, of course, we saw him interviewing for a new job, because of course we know he lost his job, and it's very much giving us, panorama vibes of being stuck in the house. He's, Zoom conferencing his interview. He then rigged up a screen. He's sitting there with no pants on and rocking the baby with a golf club, which is just about right for what life is like, being stuck in this situation for a year now. We have reached the 1-year mark. And so, I felt his frustration, but I knew things were going to go south when he mentioned to Kate not to tell Kevin that he had lost his job or that he was up for a job, even though she was super excited. He wanted to wait until he found out whether he got the job before he told him that he lost the job. And he knows that Kate usually tells Kevin everything. That is her twin. And so he, you know, doesn't want her to say anything. That was already giving me some little like, oh, this is going to be the conflict of the night. And I was right. So when they finally get to dinner, which was a beautiful sushi spread, by the way, I was very envious of their meal. It eventually comes out that, you know, he has lost his job, and he lashes out at Kevin because he assumes that Kate has already said something, and Kevin is like, no, I did not know. But Kevin, being the super sweet guy that he is like, well, whatever you need. You know, you guys need a baby rocker, I'm going to give you a baby rocker. You guys need a couple of $100, just let me know. My money is your money. And we can already see the seedlings of what ends up happening, because we know in that flash forward that Toby seems to still be battling with his depression, and it has caused some sort of rift between him and the Pearsons because he has not been around. In fact, if you remember the line from that flash forward, he, you know, says something like, thank you for calling me. And Randall basically says, you know, Mom wanted you here, which doesn't sound like what you would say to someone who is like an active participant in your family. It sounds like something you say to someone who's kind of distanced themselves from the family. You know, eventually everything is kind of smoothed over. I can appreciate you know, Toby gets really defensive and it's like, Kevin, you and Madison, that's your family. Kate and I, this is our family. And sorry, you take care of your family. I'll take care of my family. And Kevin is like, that's not how family works. Like, that's my sister, my twin sister. Like, I'm going to help you guys. And I can just see this causing all sorts of problems, especially once Kate finally gets some advice from her mom about handling the finances and she makes the decision to go back to work. And I can definitely see, like, even though Toby's going to want to be supportive, this is going to spiral him out of control. And it's so sad because Toby is, you know, Chris Sullivan does such a great job of playing Toby as such this lovable big teddy bear. And you hate to see him going through this, but you know, that ego and that pride goes before the fall, and pride and money, those are the things that can really cause the downfall. And I can definitely see him spiraling because he feels like he's not providing adequately for his family, which makes me very sad for them because they're such a wonderful couple together. That being said, I am not disappointed in the fact that Kate decides to take charge, because so often she kind of is like a pushover, and I like to see her kind of assert her perspective a bit more. And she tried to do the supportive thing and not say anything, and now she's like, if this is how you're going to react, I can't let you cause our family to collapse because you're not thinking clearly. And I really like that she's taking that stance. And then we get over to the East Coast with Randall and Beth. They're back home from their trip to New Orleans, and who is there but Mama C, played by the beautiful Felicia Rashad, who I adore. She is like one of my top 10, like just all-time favorite actresses. Hands down, anything that she's in, I definitely like support and watch. And of course, we know the relationship between Mama C and Beth is contentious, to say the least, and they are ready for her to go, but she surprises them with the news and information that she has extended her stay. So Beth had decided to plan this elaborate kind of Last Supper to show that she could be a good mom. She can do things perfectly. They're going to have this big dinner with like proper dinnerware and cloth napkins. She's going to make curry chicken. I didn't see any rice on the table though, and there was no roti, so I was a little bit disappointed at that curry chicken dinner. But she's going to do everything she can to pull out all the stops to impress her mom. Randall has retreated to the porch and has kind of made himself a little office/garden on the porch, and that is his retreat from all the tension between the two of them. And the girls this episode have lost their mind. I'm so glad that we have seen now from the future that they apparently are going to become well-mannered, well-functioned, mature young ladies and women, because right now they are all being complete little brats. I mean, Annie gets a little bit of a pass because she's still the youngest, but Deja and Tess were on one tonight. So Tess is all in her feelings because her friend Alex is now her boo thing, and she hasn't opted to tell her mom. So her mom is like, well, no, you can't go hang out with Alex because we're having this dinner for Mama C, and that's more important. Your family is more important. She's, of course, fumbling because Alex is gender pronouns or preferred pronouns are they, and Beth cannot get used to using plural pronouns. I love that it was the reverse, and it was Felicia Rashad, the older generation, the boomer, who is educating Beth on how they is always been used as a singular unknown, and it's not that difficult to use. And so it was kind of funny because, you know, obviously she's an educator, so she's a little well versed in that, but it was just kind of funny and a nice unexpected twist because you usually expect it to be the other way around. And then you have Malik. Malik comes over, but it's not to visit Deja, which she is not happy about. It's to see Randall. He wants some father advice. You know, his daughter's mother wants to come back into the picture, and he wants to know what he should do. And Randall is just like, I would have done anything to have my mom in my life. So I think you should for the sake of your kid. And they kind of bond over that. And Malik is just so adorable. He really is. All of this culminates in a very tumultuous dinner where Tess snaps at Beth, Beth snaps at Mama C, Deja snaps at Malik and at Randall, and poor Annie is the only one who leaves the dinner kind of unscathed because she gets to go play on her dad's tablet. Of course, you know, in general Pearson fashion, all is resolved. Well, except for the Tess situation, we don't see the Tess situation get a resolution, and I doubt it will. I think in 2 or 3 episodes, we're going to kind of see that be probably like the new major thing that is like an immediate situation that has to be dealt with, where she's going to lash out, do something incredibly dumb, you know. And it's really unfortunate because, you know, Tess feels like she's floundering in this family of perfect people, and she feels so imperfect. Like she doesn't fit into this little perfect mold, and she looks at her family and she doesn't really see their imperfections. She just sees them presenting themselves as this perfect ideal, and she doesn't fit in. I can definitely see her ending up like snapping away from them a little bit. You know, we know that things work out in the future. She becomes a social worker. She obviously still has, you know, weekly dinners or meetings with her dad. But I definitely think she's gonna kind of have a moment this season where we're gonna really see her kind of act out. But ultimately, Beth does talk to her mom, and her mom, you know, basically tells her, I'm not judging you on everything, well, little things, but I'm jealous of you. You have this beautiful, noisy, loud family that you're in the midst of, and I'm home and I'm by myself. And so ultimately they kind of smooth things over, and she decides to stay. Yay! Which means we get Mama C, Felicia Rashad on like an, y'all know how this is as can be sometimes, and we have our extended family cast members who don't get much screen time, Levin, but the idea that she'll come back more frequently, because we've only seen her in about 2 other episodes, so I'm really super excited that we're going to see her on a more regular basis. I think that's amazingly awesome. And Beth goes to tell Randall so he gets to keep his porch, because unfortunately his mother-in-law is going to be living there for a while. In terms of the like heartbreaking, sweet, ooey gooey moment of the night, it definitely goes to Randall and Deja, who have this beautiful father-daughter bonding moment where Deja tells Randall that the reason she's upset is because he is her day one. He's the first person who ever put all of her needs first and just believed in her wholeheartedly. And so the idea that he gave Malik advice that kind of goes against her best interest made her feel some kind of way, and he had to reassure her that he's still her day one and she's still his top priority. You know, it is short-sighted. I mean, I don't know if someone mentioned online that, like, did anyone have this conversation with Deja that, like, your boyfriend has a baby, has a whole behind kid that is probably at least 2 or 3 by now, and the baby mama could come back at any time. This person might be involved in his life again, and you are going to have to deal with that because that is the child's mother. So this needs to be okay with you, and you're going to have to kind of just check your insecurities at the door and let that go. We don't know yet if Malik is the father of Deja's baby in the future. They messed up for me because they gave Malik a kid. And so because they gave Malik a kid, I want him and Deja to work out. But at the same time, it's just so unrealistic that these 2 kids who met in basically at like 14 are going to, you know, live out a happily ever after. It happens. It does happen for some people. But it's just, the odds are very much low. And so I don't know, just, I guess, fingers crossed, you know, team Deja and Malik. Okay. At the end of it all, we know that we're going to have Mama C joining, but we also get a surprise visitor at the Kevin and Madison household, because who shows up but Uncle Nicky. And Uncle Nicky has been in that trailer, y'all, for a minute. So the fact that he hopped on a plane and came all the way just to see this twins, this is monumental. I love the relationship between Nicky and Kevin. I kind of wish that there was some bond that could be formed with him and Randall, because that's his nephew as well, you know, but, you know, Kevin is the one who found him. So, I mean, I get it, but I kind of wish that it would find a way to, like, incorporate Randall into that bonding time, because it's another way that he's left out of the family dynamics. But we're going to get a Nicky episode next week. Side note, we do get to see Rebecca in the flashback, and we get to see her in the present day. They're doing the thing again where they're just not being consistent with her makeup. And so she looked like several years younger to me than the last time we saw her at the cabin. And I know good rest will do wonders for you, but I'm just saying, like, they need to kind of figure out what is her current day age gonna look like, because it's just all over the place. It's all over the place, and it's giving me a little bit of anxiety that they're not consistent with it. But on a side note, she looks so much like Diane Keaton. It's ridiculous. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Mandy Moore and Diane Keaton were in that movie together. I can't think of the name of it right now, but I just remember they were wearing polka dots throughout, like, the whole movie, because that was their thing. And I bet you they put Diane Keaton's picture up on the vision board for Mandy Moore's look. I guarantee you that that's what they did. So this was a really warm and fuzzy episode, guys. It was very enjoyable. I will say, if I'm going to give any criticism, I wish there would have been a couple more, like, jokes in this episode to make it a little bit lighthearted, because we've had so many heavy episodes of This Is Us recently. So I wish it would have been just a smidge more of, like, humor added into it. But I think next week we're going to get some nice, really good feel-good moments. Also, with Uncle Nicky coming back, we're also going to get a reappearance of Jennifer Morrison's character. So I'm super excited about that. So let me know down below in the comments what you thought about tonight's episode. Big takeaways. How do you feel about Toby's reaction towards Kevin? Are you Team Toby? Are you Team Kevin right now? Do you think Malik and Deja are going to end up together? Do you think Beth is going to kick Mama C out the house? What's going to happen on that front? And, you know, what do you want to see in Uncle Nicky's episode next week? All right, so that's what I have for you tonight, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed my recap of This Is Us Season 5, Episode 10. It was a goodie. Nice and warm. We're back to, like, the more lighthearted stuff, guys. So Hopefully we can keep this pace for the next few episodes. We are definitely getting closer to an end game. So let me know down below in the comments what you think your end game theories are for This Is Us. And I will see you guys next week. Toodles!